was a romantic notion, really, the idea of it's a kind of introverted way of finding your creative expression. And I like that idea that I would be, rather on my own, like a hermit, but dreaming up these things for a lot of people to play and hear. I began when as a lot of kids do, playing the recorder. But I think it was rather an exceptional school that I was at for that, because I was in recorder consorts, 2 recorder consorts, I think, and played different sizes of recorders, entered lots of competitions around the county, and we just sort of swept the floor with them, really. We won everything. So it felt like, this was an exciting musical activity to be doing at a very young age. Skip forward to age 11, I went to a comprehensive school, and I said, I'd love to play the flute, please. And they said, okay. And they gave me this large thing to take home, a large box, and I opened it up and it was a French horn. So I started playing the horn. I wasn't very good at remembering what time my lessons were or anything, or doing much practice, but I liked being in the school orchestra and band. And then later on, when I was, I suppose, let me think, probably about 13 or 14, a friend of my parents introduced me to kind of interesting rock, experimental rock, and things like Pink Floyd and so on. And so then I started listening in a slightly different way. From that point on, I sort of got interested in electric guitar, and my parents kindly got me a guitar, and I had the horn and the guitar. So I was doing orchestras on sort of Friday nights, and in the local orchestras, and also on the weekends, sort of getting together with bands, which were all boys and me. Actually, thinking back, didn't really think about it at the time, but that was always how it was. But had lots of fun with both. I think I was a bit snooty about, pop music for a while, and it all had to be slightly pompous rock. But then I discovered funk and the Police and things like that. So then I was much more playful in the bands I was in. I was in a little three-piece band doing Police covers and things, and I was singing and playing guitar, and that was lots of fun. But I felt that when I started to discover, it was when I really started to discover the Modernist canon of the classical repertory, I got really excited. I felt hugely liberated when I first heard the music of, for example, Ligeti, and I just felt that this was my home. This sound was the world in which I wanted to live, and it was sort of strengthened by the attitude of my teachers at the time, who were turning their noses up at contemporary classical music, sort of almost sneering at it in the GCSE examples and things, But that was like, well, this is something for me then, if they don't like it. I found myself thinking about one thing Elaine had asked for, and this had come about through a conversation we'd had not that long ago when I told her about a piece I'd written when I was a student at the Guildhall, which was for soprano and drum kit. And ideally it was one performer. And she said to me, will you write a piece for me to play with the drum kit? And I sort of thought, okay, that's a lovely idea, and forgot about it. But then it bubbled up, and I thought, of course, this is the piece. This is the piece. Elaine is a drum. She's a drum, and she's all about the expression of repressed utterances from colonies, from colonization of black people. And it's all about bursting through the kind of skin of the drum and almost like the throat chakra, the voice breaking through. And so the piece is going to be about rhythm, and it's about words piercing through rhythm. I mean, I personally love drums. I've played drum kit. And yet I can imagine there would be people sort of coming from a similar background to me, having been classically trained, who actually have no response to a drum kit whatsoever, because it just doesn't resonate with them. And I can imagine that it might be that some people will say, oh, I love Tansy's I don't know, orchestra piece, What Did We See? Because it's very, very symphonic and colourful, and it's much more kind of lyrical. I don't really like the rhythmical pieces like Neon or whatever, but, you know, that's for them. And for me, I have to go between all these things, sometimes in a way, quite an extreme way. For me, it's about energy and instinct bubbling up, and the form or the skin or the coating, the colour, the ultimately the sound that energy emerges as is a byproduct of everything I'm doing, and it's always going to sound like something, because, you know, we're working with this. I'm working with instruments that can be heard over and over again down the centuries. I'm working with basically 12 notes in a scale, although I do a lot of sort of detunings in a way, not in a complex way. And I'm working with rhythms. You know, these are very basic building blocks that everyone else is working with. So it's always going to sound like something else, which effectively becomes a style.